Good evening, Rabbi. We're going to discuss tonight the Parsha Shavua, which is Vaikra, and we're going to discuss also how that relates to our situation, the current events, the current situation that we're in, and why it's so important. We're going to learn from there also a lesson why it's so important that the religious services should be left open, the yeshivot, the kollels, the minyanim have to be left open, because this is our life. Ki em chayenu ve'orech yamenu. This is what gives us life. This is what gives us parnasah. This is what gives us all the good things that we have in life. So if a person, right, reneges that, what does he have left? We have nothing left. That's the idea, right? So therefore we have to make sure that we do all things properly. This is the idea. So in order to understand a little bit what we're talking about, first of all, the Parsha Vaikra is Leviticus, right? Leviticus, what is that talking about? It's talking about bringing the sacrifices in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, in the Bet HaMikdash. So there's all kinds of sacrifices, and the Torah now here goes through, right, starts to delineate all the types of sacrifices that there are. There's Olah, there's Shlamim, there's Chatat, there's Todah, right, then there's Asham, all kinds of sacrifices. He delineates how to bring each one, how it's done, how it's not done, what the rules are, what kind of animal you have to bring. All those things for us, they're not so relevant. You know what I mean? Why they're not so relevant? Because we don't really do sacrifices today, right? What's the reason why we don't do sacrifices? Because we don't have the Bet HaMikdash, basically, and since we don't have the Bet HaMikdash, that's the place where we have to bring the sacrifices. The truth is that, technically speaking, by the way, a person doesn't really need a Bet HaMikdash to do sacrifices. Did you know that? One is not really doesn't depend on the other. What does that mean? It's possible to do sacrifices even though there is no Bet HaMikdash. So how do you do it? What you do is you go to that place where they bring sacrifices, even though there's no building there, and you can bring them over there, right there, without any problem, right? As long as the conditions are met, so forth and so on. But the truth is, right? So then, why don't we bring the sacrifices? We don't really need the building itself, the Bet HaMikdash. We don't need that. And there were actually some rabbis, by the way, who did recommend that we should bring the sacrifices, even though we don't have Bet HaMikdash. They said we should start now. What are we waiting for? So you know the reason why we don't start? Because of those those frogs over there that are standing on the Temple Mount. You know what I mean? If we go up there and try to bring sacrifices, they will start a World War III. You know what I mean? This is what's going to be. So we don't want bloodshed to occur in order to bring sacrifices. You know, the sacrifices. We don't want the Jewish people to become sacrifices. You know what I mean? We don't want to sacrifice our people. So therefore, this is the reason why we say, let's wait for Mashiach. Let's wait for Eliyahu Navi to come, and then when all these conditions are met, and then we have no opposition and no problems and no issues, which are gonna, be coming together with this sacrifice business. So then we can bring sacrifices in peace, with love, with with dignity, with happiness, without having some kind of a massacre going on, some kind of world war, some kind of rioting and looting and all kinds of things. We don't want that. This is the reason why we don't bring it. This is the reason why we don't do it. Okay, very good. You got the idea. So anyway, the point is like this, right? That Avraham Avinu, there was a certain time where Avraham Avinu had a certain prophetic dream, right? And over there, Kadosh Baruch Hu made him to go to sleep. He put him into like a slumber. And what he did was he showed him all kinds of things about the future, what's going to be with the Jewish people, what's going to be about the history of the world, all kinds of things. And what happened was that Avraham Avinu, what he saw was that the Jewish people are going to go into exile. So he asked, Kadosh Baruch Hu asked Avraham Avinu, he says, listen, when your children sin, I'm going to have to, punish them somehow. So now you're their forefather, you're the patriarch. So you pick, what do you choose? Do you choose that they should go to Galut, they should go to exile, and this should be the way that they're going to be atoned for their sins? Or do you choose they should go to Gehinnom? Purgatory, hell, Which one do you prefer? A or B, right? Multiple choice. Number one, number two. So what did Avraham Avinu choose? He says, okay, show me, what's Galut, show me what's the exile, and show me what's the Gehinnom, what's the purgatory. Kadosh Baruch Hu showed him both. This is the Gehinnom, welcome. This is the Galut, this is the exile. So once Avraham Avinu saw both of them, he realized that the Galut, the exile, was a better choice. Why is that? Because they say Gehinnom is very, very painful, very severe, over there. Over there, the situation is very, very severe, very painful. You can't, very hard to get over it. So therefore, what happened was that because of that, Avraham Avinu saw. By the way, they say that whatever suffering that a person can have here, Gehinnom is like 60 times more suffering than over there, than over here. So therefore, this is the reason why. This is the reason why that Avraham Avinu, he chose Galut. He said, "Listen, we can't. I can't have my children going through this ordeal of Gehinnom, because over there the punishment is very, very severe. They punish you, like till you're about to, expire. That's how bad it is. So therefore, he chose Galut, and this is the reason why we're in Galut. We're in exile. We're in Rego Park. We're in Forest Hills, wherever we are, Los Angeles, whatever it is. Even in Eretz Israel, by the way, people over there, they're also considered being Galut. Why is that? Because we don't have Mashiach, we don't have Bet HaMikdash, we don't have all the good things that we're supposed to have. Over there also we have a lot of problems, Erev Rav, the situation over there. Amalek, Amalek, they have all kinds of things over there going on there. So therefore, the situation is very, very bad. So therefore, what happened was that Avraham Avinu chose Galut. But he said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he says, you know what? You told me that the Jewish people are going to get atonement by the sacrifices with what we have over here in the Sefer Vayikra. This sacrifice, that sacrifice. But he says, what's going to be when they go to Galut? How are they going to get atonement for their sins over there in Galut when they have no sacrifices? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Avraham Avinu, he tells them, no problem. He says, when they read the prayer services, when they do the prayer services, that's going to be considered to them like they brought a sacrifice, So if they read about this sacrifice, it's like they brought that sacrifice. The Olah. If they read about the Chatat, it's like they brought the Chatat. If they read about the Shlamim, it's like they brought the Shlamim. If they read about all these things, it's like they brought it. If they read about the incense, it's like they brought the incense. So what happens is, that this is the way that the Jewish people get atonement for their sins by having these prayers. The daily prayers that we have. Shabbat, Rosh Chodesh, Yom Tov, all these prayers. All these things are, this is how you get atonement. So the question is, now, what happens is that, how do you get atonement now? What happens is that people are not coming to the shul, they're not coming to the Bet Knesset, they're not coming to yeshiva, they're not coming to study Torah. And also, by the way, you should know that when you come to the Bet Knesset, when you come to the shul, it's not only an issue of prayers. There's also, people give tzedakah over here, There's a mitzvah of tzedakah. The mitzvah of charity, the mitzvah of learning Torah is also here. They have classes in Torah, they have shiurim, all kinds of things. All these things are missing, because when you don't come to the shul, it's like you're out of business, you're out of sorts altogether. This is what's going on, So therefore, this is the issue that we have, that a person must come to the synagogue. And when you don't have these services, people are not really doing the prayers properly, they're not doing all the things properly. Not everybody can do it on their own. Not everybody's self-sufficient. They need somebody to help them. They need a rabbi. They need guidance. They need all kinds of things. So all these things, what happens is that when you don't have them, all these modes of atonement that the Jewish people have, are not functioning so good. They're functioning like, very, very, very shabby. There is a Shulchan Aruch also, you should know. The Shulchan Aruch says that once a Jewish community is established in any place, the first thing that they have to do, Jewish community, is to make a minyan, to build a shul, to build a synagogue, and to make a minyan, because this is the functioning. This is the life of the Jewish people. It has to be done with communal services. Once you break that down, what happens is that atonement is also problematic. There's no atonement so much. There's another issue, which is that when you don't give tzedakah, so then the parnasah also goes down. You don't have so much parnasah. The businesses are getting shot, going out of business, all kinds of things. Why? Because we live on the fact that we give tzedakah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us more parnasah, gives us abundance, gives us wealth, gives all kinds of things, and we don't have that when we don't do these functions in the Bet Knesset, in the synagogue. We don't have all these things. All these things are missing. So again, we have a very big, very, very, very serious problem. There's also another thing, which is, it says in the Zohar Kadosh that also what happens is that when the Jewish people get together for prayers, it also benefits that country that they live in. The Goyim also get benefit by that. So their parnasah, their economy also depends on that. Their success, all kinds of things. So when you don't have religious services, what happens is that they also get shot. Everybody gets shot. So this means that the economy is going to shoot down. It's not going to function properly. You can't go on like this for a very long time without prayers, without learning Torah, without tzedakah. All these things are done in the setting of the synagogue, right, where people gather, the Jewish people gather. This is the idea. So this is the reason why it's very, very dangerous to try to close these institutions, because what happens is that this could have a trickle down effect, domino effect, and kill everything, kill business, kill parnasah, kill the economy. Everything could be shot because of these things. This is all we have today, Since we don't have Bet HaMikdash, since we don't have the sacrifices today, so all we have left is the prayers. This is all we have. And tzedakah, the charity that we give, and the Torah that we study. This is Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. The Torah studies is weighed against all the other mitzvot combined. So all these things, can you imagine? We don't have because they shut down. Now the interesting thing is that, I'm just like, I looked on the website, as I told you, and I saw that even the governor, Cuomo, he didn't really outlaw religious services. They recommended not to do it. Whatever, recommended. What can we do? I mean, we can't listen to his recommendation when we have the commandment of God that tells us that we have to do these things. You should know, by the way, that there's an issue over here regarding this. The issue is like this. That question is, as a general question, fundamental question. Question is, when you're commanded, let's say, by the authorities, the non-Jewish authorities, not to hold religious services for some reason, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, they tell you, listen, we're communists, we don't believe in religion, so shut everything down. That's what they told us over there, where we lived. You know how it was over there. Everything was closed down. They only allowed basically like one synagogue in every city. They didn't allow a big service, a big presence of religion. And they wanted something very, very minimal. That's it, right? And even that was discouraged. They used to discourage that, right? My father told me when he was young, he started working in the city hall over there in Tbilisi. He was like an engineer, an architect. That was his profession. So what happened was that one day, he comes to the work over there in City Hall, They bring him to the side, my father. They tell him, he says, Samson, they told him, we want to speak with you about something. They tell him, we heard that yesterday, somebody gave us some information that, what happened was the day before was Yom Kippur. You understand? So my father went to the synagogue, to pray over there. There was only one synagogue left. So what happened was that he goes over there, and next day they tell him, we saw, somebody saw you over there in the synagogue yesterday, Yom Kippur. They told him, they said, listen, but we can't tell you what to do, like to go there or not. They said, if you want to get like a advancement in your profession, you want to advance and go up, amongst the hierarchy, he says, we'd recommend to you not to go to synagogue. You know what I mean? That's what they told him. They said, listen, we can't tell you what to do, but we recommend to you, as a friend, if you really want to advance in your job, in your profession, don't show up over there. Don't make yourself present over there. Don't make yourself seen over there. What does that mean? They had over there spies, There were some Jewish people also. There were some people, yeah. They had, There was people like that. Yeah. I know some of them who they were, by the way. My father told me who they were. I'll tell you that later. That's not for this discussion. Anyway, what happened was that my father, was shocked. But these things, they didn't sway the Jewish people, these kinds of things. And they kept on going. They kept on doing what they had to do. One day I was told by Yasha, our friend Yasha, what he told me? Something unbelievable. He said that one day they came and arrested like one of the rabbis in Tbilisi, And so what happened was that they got word of it, the community, So they all went to the police station and they asked the police, why did you arrest this rabbi? What did he do? So we arrest them for teaching religion, teaching Torah. You know what I mean? So what happened was that they made like a human shield on the streets, They lied down. Nobody should be able to pass over there. They said, over our dead bodies, you're gonna take our rabbi with us, They told the police, we'll burn down the police station if you don't let him go. So they let him go. This is what they did, in order to get the situation remedied. And they let the rabbi go. So people who did these kinds of things, can you imagine how much sacrifice they made for Torah, for mitzvot, for synagogue, for yeshiva, for teaching Torah, all kinds of things, for tzedakah. And today, people are telling me, they recommended not to open a minyan. Okay, very good, they recommended. What can I do, But God told me to open it. So the question is, who do you listen to in a case like this? Let's say the authorities tell you, don't practice your religion, This was, all the time we had these problems. With the Romans, with the Greeks, they made all kinds of decrees. Don't do Brit Milah, don't study Torah, don't keep Shabbat. Right? We never listened to them. That's the way it was. So now all of a sudden, they're recommending not to make, minyan. So we should listen to their recommendation? Well, they're not even threatening us with anything. So can you imagine how frightened does a person have to be in order to make, to be so, so fanatical like that? So frightened. What are you so frightened about? This is the idea, So there's a story which is borne out, by the way, bears out this whole thing. There's a story like this, and the Midrash brought down, that there was 3 tzaddikim who lived in the time of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylon. He ruled over the whole world. And he was the one who destroyed the first Beit HaMikdash. He was the one. So what happened was that he had a certain idol that he made, a big statue made out of gold, and he asked everybody to bow down to that idol. So what happened was that 3 of the tzaddikim, of the righteous Jews, rabbis in that generation, they refused to bow down to the idol. They were tzaddikim. They don't want to bow down to an idol. So what happens is that Nebuchadnezzar brings them, into his office, into his palace. He tells them, he says, I heard, I heard people tell me, you 3, you didn't bow down to my statue. Is that true? They told him, they said, yeah, your honor the king, it's true. We're not allowed to do idolatry, you know that, right? We're Jews, we refuse to do idolatry. So they, Nebuchadnezzar tells them, he was a clever guy, this guy, What does he tell them? He tells them, oh yeah, but I heard, you Jews have a rule like this in your Talmud, You have a rule like this, that you have to keep the laws of the country that you live in. So this is for me, this is my law. That you have to bow down to this statue. So he says, why don't you do that? That's what he told them. So you know what they answered, right, to Nebuchadnezzar? They said, let's make something very clear. Let's make it clear. When the Torah talks about keeping the laws of the land, it talks about ordinances, all kinds of things for logical things, like not speeding on the highway, not going 110 miles an hour, with a BMW, you know what I'm saying? That's dangerous. A person could die from that, you know what I mean? Speeding like that, or all kinds of, to collect taxes, IRS, okay, that you have to pay the taxes, all these kinds of things you got to do. But when it comes to, religious issues, if you tell us not to do, it says for you to make these kinds of decrees, it's like a monkey made the decrees. Same thing as a monkey. Well, who are you to make such decrees like that? We don't listen to you. When it comes to ordinances, collecting taxes and things which are logical, monetary law, okay, we keep that. When it comes to our religion, nobody can step in front of that. Nobody can. They told Nebuchadnezzar, we're not going to keep it, no matter what you say. We're not going to go bow down to your idol, So what did Nebuchadnezzar do? He said, okay, he says, you guys think you're wise guys, huh? So he says, I'm going to throw you all 3 of you into the fire, to see if I'm going to burn you alive. You know what I mean? So what happens is that he throws them into the fire, and he put the fire on like full blast, broil function, self-cleaning. Put it all the way on top. So what happens is that they came out alive. They didn't get burnt. So the angel came, Malach Gabriel, came and he saved them from the fire. So Nebuchadnezzar, he passed by over there, and he saw them that they were alive. So they came out, and Nebuchadnezzar says, blessed be your God. If you saved you from the fire, it must be that you're right. What can I do? That's the way it is. So what does that mean? That you see from there that a person has to, sacrifice a lot to keep religious services going, to keep religion going, not to sacrifice our religion for anything, especially for some recommendation. Okay, recommendation. They recommended not to do. What can we do? What are we going to do? We're going to kill ourselves because of recommendation? Our life comes from the Torah, so that's the way we do it. So all these things, a person has to keep going, especially as I told already people, many people, I said, listen, with all due respect, but the big rabbis in Israel, they all said not to close down the minyanim. They all said not to close down the yeshivot, not to close down the kolim. Okay, to make it a little bit smaller, let's say, right? Let's say, what does that mean? To make like smaller minyanim, one after the other. So let's say if you have 50 people, you'll do like 1 minyan after another, to get them in, instead of doing one big minyan. Okay, that's maybe tolerable, Even that, I'm not really sure if it's really necessary, but, just to comply with the authorities. Okay, fine, we can do something, but come on, give me a break, like to cancel altogether like it doesn't exist, for us, that's already going too far. There's no substantiation in our religion for being so fanatical about a thing like this. As I, already posted yesterday, there is actually a Gemara, which talks about this. What does that mean, right? That a person may think, if he looks at the media, if he looks at the internet, if he looks at the television, hopefully he's not looking, but if he is looking, he sees over there that everybody's telling him, listen, this disease is passed one from the other. If you pass by this person, this, you touch the table that he touched and all kinds of things like this. So it makes you think, all these kinds of things that it's like a random kind of thing, like, oh yeah, well, yeah, if I pass by that person, I'm going to get it too. As if like, there's no thought behind that, there's no, God is like not in the picture over here, just like it's a random kind of thing. People just get diseases because they came in some kind of contact with the person who got a disease. What a disease. Is it always like that? So Gemara says an interesting thing about that, very simple. It says that all diseases and all punishments that come to the world are because of sins. Where is this Gemara? It's brought down in Masechet Ketubot. Right over there it says that all sins are because of all diseases and all punishments. What does that mean? Let's say a lion came, right, and ate the guy, whatever, or you bit him, whatever. Or a snake bit him, This is from Shamayim, it's Vina Shamayim.
What do you think about the fact, the idea, that this is a global thing? It's not affecting one country, or it's a global thing. People are dying in the masses all over, from every walk of life, every religion. And not one news outlet, not one person has ever mentioned, or even the biggest atheist out there, has not even asked themselves that maybe this is from a higher power.
Right? No, nobody's talking about that.
No, not even Fox News. And
exactly.
Fox News clings onto their Bibles.
The Bibles. Right? All of a sudden they forgot their Bibles.
All of a sudden they forgot their Bibles. All of a sudden, it's
all statistics.
There's no. The only statistics they care about is the money. That's the only thing they're praying to.
The dollar. The almighty dollar.
I've especially been switching from channel to channel. There isn't one person that even went on a limb. Okay? To even bring the idea out. No, they're scared. People, they're scared to say it, People, what? I thought 96 point something percent of us believed in a higher power, because that's the that's the percentage of people that at least in the world give some kind of a credence to a higher power. Okay? Even though the whole world is secular, at least 96 point something percent of us give the possibility of some kind of a higher.
Absolutely.
But there isn't one voice out there from any country or any country's leader that even mentioned the word God.
Nothing. Doesn't exist. He's not in the picture.
No.
He's not in the picture.
It's China.
Right.
Or a bat from China. Or a dog that they cooked.
Bat out of hell.
Yeah, bat out of hell. Yeah. Maybe it's the same bat that Ozzy bit in his concert.
No, it's the one from Meatloaf. Okay.
Keep going, I'll be right back. That's a good one, the one from Meatloaf.
Okay.
Are we recording all this?
Yes.
Okay.
So now, right, in order to understand this a little bit better, as we said, right, the Gemara says that all these things come from Shamayim. Nothing is a coincidence. There's no coincidence in this world. Nothing is a coincidence. If somebody got a disease, that means Hashem, gave him that disease because he's got sins. So what does a really person have to do when a person, has a situation like this? We have to pray. We have to pray to Hashem, So when you're closing down the synagogue and you're closing down the yeshiva, you're closing down all the institutions of religion, how are you going to pray? Where are you going to pray? Who's going to pray? Right? You're going to pray at home, but praying at home is not the same thing. You don't have minyan over there. Right? It says in the Gemara, Masechet Brachot, and Filato Shel Adam Nishmat Ela B'minyan. A person's prayer is only heard in the minyan. Also, it says, and Filato Shel Adam Nishmat Ela B'bet Knesset. It's only heard in the Bet Knesset, in the synagogue. So when you don't have synagogue, you don't have minyan, the prayer is not heard so much. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing. So again, right, we're defeating the whole purpose. You know, there is also a story brought down in the book of Shmuel, right? Samuel, right, the second part. Over there, what happens is that towards the end of King David's life, there was a plague, that occurred. You know what I mean? How did this plague occur, by the way? What's the reason why it came on? So they say that what happened was that David HaMelech, for some reason, he got this crazy idea in his head to make a census, to know how many Jews there are, in Israel. Make a census.
Who came up with this?
David HaMelech.
Oh, he did?
King David, yeah. He wanted to make a census, so he tells, his chief of staff, right, Yoav, tells him, go and count how many Jews there are. I want to know how many soldiers we have, how many people we have, ready for combat, for service in the army. Why not? So Yoav tries to convince him not to do it. He says, no. He says, what are you talking about? He says, come on, give me a break, He tried to convince him not to do it. Why convince him not to do it? Because it says in the Torah that if you do a census like that, you count the Jews, it puts an eye of Ein Haran, an evil eye. And then they can get damaged by that. Anything that, the Gemara says like this, right? Anything which is counted or weighed gets evil eye, You shouldn't always count and weigh things if there's no reason to do that. How much money do I have? How much does this weigh? How much does my gold weigh? All the time he weighs it again and again. Why are you weighing it 5 times? One time that you weigh it is not enough? Why do you have to weigh it 5 times? Why do you have to count your money every 5 seconds, Oh yeah, I have, $350. Okay, why count it? You already counted it this morning. You're counting it again. For what are you counting it for? So again, they say, Chazal, that anything which is counted gets Ein Hara. So that also includes Jews. When you count Jews like this, especially when you count the whole nation as a whole, that's what David HaMelech did.
He didn't know that he...
So what happened was that Kadosh Baruch Hu made him forget this law, Sometimes, what happens that Kadosh Baruch Hu puts some kind of a block in a person's head, becomes a blockhead, Blocked, he's blocked. So what happens is that he got blocked,
Yeah.
And this was from Hashem. So Yoav couldn't convince him, to stop this whole thing, this crazy idea. So Yoav starts to go out, and starts to do it because he's got to listen to the king. What can he do, This is the king. So he tried to do it very slowly to delay it as much as possible. He put all kinds of tricks to see, what he could do. He also, by the way, they say that another thing that he did was Yoav, in order to stop the census, was that he went to certain places in areas, where there were certain tough people over there. So he said, if I go over there, these people are fanatics. They won't let me do it. They'll put an end to it. But they didn't. Everybody agreed to it. Just like now, everybody, nobody's saying anything about closing the synagogues. Nobody's saying anything about closing the yeshivot. Oh yeah, everybody agrees. Why does everybody agree to this? What's the reason why?
Political
I don't understand.
correctness.
It's just some kind of block in the head. Same thing. So what happened was that Yoav, he starts to go out and he finished. What can he do? In the end, he finished everything. So he comes back. And Kadosh Baruch Hu sends a prophet to David, and tells him, he says, you sinned, you counted the Jewish people. I told what, you don't know what's written in the Torah? What is it with you? You're a big rabbi, you're a big chacham. How could you do such a thing like that?
Cut him some slack.
So what he tells him? The prophet tells him, okay, I want you to choose. You're going to get punished for this. I want you to choose between 3 punishments. You get the choice: A, B, or C. Again, multiple choice, right? Same thing over here. There's always multiple choices. It tells them, okay, one choice is you're going to be chased by your enemies, for a certain amount of time, for a few months. They're going to try to kill you. You take that choice. Number 2, there's going to be a plague, and it's going to kill a lot of people. It's going to be like a black plague, something heavy duty. Another choice, right? So it gives them also another choice, a third choice. So what does he do? He says, you know what? The best choice is the plague. He picked the plague. Why did he pick the plague? You know why? What's the reason why? Because he said that the other choices were worse. You know why? Because they were from mankind. Somebody's going to be chasing you. Somebody's going to be, So he said, mankind won't have mercy on me. When a person is cruel on you, he won't have mercy. So he says, but the plague is coming from God, so God will have mercy on us, So he says, I choose the plague, choice number 2, choice B, that's it. Okay, so he chooses the plague. So what happened was that plague was supposed to go on for like several hours. This was the choice, So the plague starts, and it kills a lot of people, So he starts to pray, David HaMelech. Yeah, the Jews, yeah. So he starts to pray, goes on praying. All of a sudden, it stopped. They stopped it. So there, in a couple of hours, many people died. We're talking about thousands. This is like a real plague. Not some kind of something not so serious. This is a real plague that happened over there. So what do you see from there, right? The moral is like this: that when the Jewish people see a plague going on, they have to pray to stop the plague, because the only one who can really stop it is Hashem. You think that the government will do it? Okay, whatever. They could do something. But really, it's in God's hands, these things, because disease is in the hands of God. If He wants to stop the diseases, He wants people to stop dying, He's the one who's going to stop. So He's the one, you've got to pray to Him. So what happens is that when you're closing down the shuls, you're closing down the minyanim, then you're getting rid of the prayers. You're doing just the opposite. This is the problem, you know what I mean? Also, what I meant to mention is that there's another thing about regarding what we said, that there's also another Gemara, which seems to contradict the Gemara that we just mentioned. The first Gemara says that all diseases are from Hashem. So who does the person have to pray to? He has to pray to Hashem. It says in the Gemara over there, right? When you pray to Hashem, that he shouldn't get sick. Why is that? Because if he does get sick, he needs a lot of zechut, to get off at that time. What does that mean? If he already got sick and he's like bedridden, that means that he's already been accused about something. You know what I mean? A big accusation going on him. So if he has like one mitzvah that he did, sometimes it can protect him from dying. One little mitzvah, that angel that he created by doing that mitzvah will protect him, and he won't get the sickness. This is the idea, So this is the way it is. Now it says in Gemara also something interesting. It says that there's two kinds of diseases which are not up to Hashem. Like it's in your hands more. What are those two? Regarding getting chills and getting heat. What does that mean? If you get overheated, or if you get chilled out, like temperature-wise, your body. If you let your body to get cold or to get heated up overly, this can give you a disease. You know what I mean? You can get a fever from that, a cold, a flu, whatever. You brought that on yourself by not guarding your body from the cold or not guarding your body from the heat. This is something which can be up to mankind. But when it comes to other diseases which are not really dependent on heat and cold, so then it's up to God. That's what it says. There's also another Gemara, Masechet Shabbat. You know what it says over there? In Masechet Shabbat it says that a person should always be careful not to go in a place of danger. Because he may not be saved. Don't go to a place where there's danger. And even if they do save him, they will subtract from his zechut, from his merits, because they'll say, listen, we saved you this time, you were negligent, so we're going to have to take off your grades a little bit, downgrade you. What does that mean? Some of the good deeds that you did will have to be accounted for, to be given for the fact that you were saved. There's going to have to be some kind of a reckoning for that. This is the idea, So therefore, the Gemara says, don't put yourself in a place of danger if you don't have to be there. This is the idea, So then the question is, how does these two Gemaras stand one against the other? They seem to contradict each other. One says all diseases are up to Hashem, and then the other one says, but you don't go in a place of danger. But you tell me everything is up to Hashem, no? So what's the answer? The simple answer is like this: that everything is up to Hashem, but you're not allowed to be negligent. You know what I mean? Don't do things which sacrifice your health, which sacrifice your your well-being, your safety. If you do this, then you're causing your own death. So a person is not allowed to be negligent also. That's why we're going to the other extreme, you know what I mean? There's two extremes over here. One is to think that everything is random, which is not. It's not true. Diseases and punishments are not random. On the other hand, don't put yourself in a dangerous situation and then think you're going to be saved, It may not work. And even if it is, you're going to lose your merits. So the question is, and then what should a person do? How does he balance out these two extremes? The thing is like this, right? That when we're talking about something danger, we're talking about something which is apparently dangerous. Like for instance, the Classic example is that you go to a place where there's a dilapidated wall over there, you may fall, Leaning Tower of Pisa, whatever, something like that, right? It's about to fall, so you can't go over there because that wall is not safe. The buildings department said, right, don't pass over there. This building is not safe. Or like some kind of bridge, also which is also not safe, an unsafe bridge. You go there.
It's when you're entering unsafe territory, but you know it.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. What can you do?
It's your knowledge.
Yeah, you know about it.
And you're still doing it.
You're still doing it. It's negligent, right? Yeah. So then you may lose your life because of that. So then don't say, everything's from the Shemayim. What do you mean? It's your fault that you did that. So then how does it work out for sicknesses when it comes to this issue? This is the question, right? So the truth is, the sickness is not really the same thing. Because when you have something which is dangerous, we're talking about something which is physically dangerous. In other words, you can see something, with your senses. The wall is not safe, the building is not safe, the bridge is not safe, right? The car is not safe, whatever it is, right? Your brakes don't work. Then how are you gonna drive a car without brakes? You're gonna get into an accident like that. So that's the idea, So in a case like that, a person has to really say, listen, I'm not gonna risk my life. I'm not allowed to do that. You're being negligent. But when it comes to disease, it's not the same thing. You know why? Because you can't really see what's going on. So the truth is, the doctor tells us, as you said, right? 6 feet, stay away 6 feet or 8 feet or 2 meters or 1 meter, 1.5 meters. Everybody's got their own standard. So here, the truth is, the doctors themselves, they really don't know how the disease spreads. They're guessing, They're hypothesizing. They're saying, listen, it probably goes like this, They don't know, to be honest with you, Nobody really knows why, because you can't see it. There's no way to actually see how that person got sick. There's no footage, right? There's no material. There's nothing there's no facts. So these things are more like theoretical, you know what I mean? But the truth is, it's very well known that if you go to a person who's sick, he's infected with something, you may well get that disease, you know what I'm saying? So the truth is, if you know that a person is sick, you shouldn't approach him, too close. Because you may get what he has. It can apply to other diseases also, by the way, not only this one, Corona, there's also 1,000 other diseases, 10,000 other diseases, 100,000, that are contagious. You have to stay away from people who have these kinds of diseases. Everybody has to take care of themselves. So what does that mean? If you know that a person is sick, don't approach him like that. You know that sickness is contagious. You're playing with fire, even though you can't really see that, with your senses, but it's known that that's the way it is. So you have to be careful, when it comes to that. But what happens is like this, right? Let's say you don't know the person is sick. You don't know anybody's sick over there. So then they tell you, okay, don't go pray in the shul, don't go pray in the synagogue. Maybe there are some people who are sick over there. Maybe there are some people who are infected. Maybe the table is infected. Don't touch the table. Maybe this is infected. Maybe the Torah is infected. I don't know, God forbid. All kinds of things like this, right? So here, it's already becoming also fanatical to the other extreme. You know what I mean? When a person is afraid of his own shadow, he doesn't want to go on the street. He doesn't want to go to the store. He doesn't want to go to work. How are you going to survive like that? How are you going to live like that, right? And especially when it comes to serving Hashem, which is our life comes from there, our parnasah, our goodness, all the blessing that we have comes from there. So when a person, says, listen, there's a new virus came out, and a lot of people are dying, So you know what? I won't go to work. I won't go to pray. I won't go to learn Torah. I won't give tzedakah. I won't do this. I won't do this. I have no job. No parnasah. No wages. What happens is that person is not going too far. That's already going too far to the other extreme. When a person is afraid of his own shadow, afraid of his own footsteps, he doesn't know. Everything. He doesn't know what's lurking behind him. He doesn't know that anybody's sick. So then how are you gonna? That's already going too far. The halakha doesn't recognize that a person should be so careful like that. Extra careful. Don't go in there. Don't pass by there. You don't know anybody's sick over there. So then, then it may be. Yeah, it may be, but it may be all the time like that. So what does that mean? As we said, right? Even though people are arguing about this, but the truth is that many more people die from the flu than die from this disease that came out now. The flu kills 500,000 people in the whole world a year. 500,000 people a year. This disease will probably not get to that level. I don't think so, but whatever. But the point is that, in terms of statistics, the flu is much worse. So what happens is that if that's the case, and also there's other diseases, all kinds of diseases. So if that's the case, we shouldn't go to synagogue, we shouldn't pray, we shouldn't go open the yeshiva, we shouldn't study Torah, we shouldn't go to work because of the flu also. Maybe you'll get it. So that's going already too far. When you don't know somebody's sick, and you're already, concerned about that, which the chances are already very minuscule, very minute, and there's no substantiation for anything, there's also, right, a rule about that, in the Torah. You know what it says, right? Lo machazikin beisura. We don't assume something is wrong if you don't see anything wrong. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, it's something is there. Don't go in there. How do you know? Who told you? What you're a prophet? A person can't be afraid of his own shadow. This is what we're going too far. This is the idea. So, what's the bottom line over here, right? The bottom line is that a person has to know how to calculate these things, how to make the proper judgments, make the proper evaluation of these things. How do you do that, by the way? Who do you listen to? Do you listen to the scientists? Do you listen to the doctors? Do you listen to the governor, to the president, the vice president? Who do you listen to? Do you listen to Fauci? What's his name? Fauci, this guy, right? This little short guy over there, thinks he's a big shot, right? Do you listen to him? No. You listen to the Chachamim. Go to the Poskim, to the Gedolei Israel, the Gedolei Rabbanim, big Rabbanim. After they weigh all these things, by talking to the doctors, they talking to the government, they talk to the authorities, they make an assessment according to halakha, what has to be done. A person who doesn't understand that, by the way, he thinks that the doctors are greater than the rabbis, and the government is greater, the governor is greater.
Most of society thinks
that's what it is, right? Yeah. But so then you're talking about a Jew, yeah. That's already like a bigger problem. Yeah. You know what I mean? If this is the way you think, to be honest with you, this is like heresy.
I actually believe that even a goy, holy person like Pat Robertson or somebody, who posts things that they're condemned for. He posts that the tsunami was a punishment from God because we don't behave. He's actually more holier than any one of these people.
Well, I don't know what's going on with that guy, but I can tell you one thing, that as you said, your comment was very, very, very piercing, very powerful. That all of a sudden, we don't hear anything about God, in the picture, doing tshuva, repenting, repenting from your sins. All we hear is about statistics, data, This is, you should know, by the way, people who have come to this level, what happens is that it trickles down from the heretics, this philosophy in life, and it goes even to the Jews. The Jews also start to adopt it, because they hear, all these things, they get scared. They forget about what it means to be a Torah, what it means to be religion, what it means to be a ben Torah, to go in the ways of the Torah. They forget these things. All of a sudden, the media and the internet, becomes their rabbi.
Do people like...
This is very bad.
Do people like Robertson or the other evangelists, do they get credit from Hashem for bringing this out?
Well, I'm not gonna focus on these people.
I don't want to focus, but at least they bring it out there.
But
at least they acknowledge a higher power.
I don't focus.
They may be goys, but they acknowledge a higher power.
You know what it is? I don't focus on these people. You know why? Because even though some of the things they say may be true at times, but their fundamental philosophy is not true. You know what I mean?
No, but
this is the reason why
you have to start somewhere.
They say right that when you have a something which is not true, it's like a table with like 3 legs, or 2 legs. Eventually,
Rabbi,
it'll fall.
I understand, but it's like we rather have Trump than a Sanders or a Biden.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course.
You understand?
Of course.
I rather have if I don't see a rabbi coming out on television and telling people to wake up, if it takes a Pat Robertson to speak those words, I'll take it.
Well, I'm the one who's telling people to wake up. So
I know. Unfortunately, you're not on Fox or CNN.
Okay, we'll work on that.
Yeah. Now, if you put on some obscure channel, the 700 Club, for the holy goys, at least they have an outlet to go to where they'll hear this stuff.
Yes. Well, the truth is, you're right, but I don't like to, I don't like to acknowledge these people too much. You know what I'm saying? To give them too much credit. But anyway, I see what you're saying. Believe me, I understand what you're saying. Right. I understand what you're talking about. But the point is, the bottom line is that, when it comes to these kind of determinations, it has to be made by Chachamim, the Gedolei Chachamim. They're the ones who have the final word, the final say. If the minyan should be left open, the synagogue should be left open,
the world that we
the yeshiva should be left open, right? All these this is the way it has to be. Baruch Hashem, we have a lot of people in Israel, at least over there in Israel, that listen to Chachamim.
So they did they leave?
Yeah, they left a lot of things open. Of course, of course, even though a lot of things were also closed, but a lot of things were also left open because there are people who listen to the Chachamim. So, as we mentioned, right, the chief rabbis, they said the minyanim should be left open. Chaim Kanievsky was considered to be one of the big rabbis also. Said to leave them open, so there's no reason, to be afraid.
Worst comes to worst, we can go to a mosque. You told me we're allowed to pray there.
If they don't kill you,
Yeah.
if they don't stab you to death.
Yeah.
So, that's the way it is, right? You know how it is today. Okay, so anyway, the point is that a person has to listen to that Torah. This is the way it has to be. Otherwise, everybody makes up their own mind, oh, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. There are consequences for everything, when a person doesn't listen to that Torah, he doesn't listen to the Gedolei Israel, he's going to pay for that, somehow, some way. Because we're all obligated to listen to them. What can we do? Hashem should help us, I guess we should say, not to be too judgmental. So what I say is like this, for all the people who don't have a lot of emunah, they don't have such a big emunah, some like everybody else who has more emunah, Hashem should help them, that we should get out of the situation, that we can come back to prayers, come back to Torah, come back to mitzvot, and not have to, stay away for a long time.
I heard that Trump has a lady spiritual advisor in the White House. No, I'm serious. They pray
But he said today, the president, that he also wants to bring everything back. Like in like 19 days,
Absolutely, yeah.
He should. I mean, this.
I think it should be sooner than
You
that.
should know, by the way, if it goes on like this, there's gonna be a very big catastrophe.
There already is, in a way.
Yeah, it's true. It's gonna maybe the damage may be irreparable. What's gonna be.
But don't you think this whole country is one big Ponzi scheme in a way? The market, it's a Ponzi scheme.
You're right. What can I tell you? You can't argue with the truth.
Yeah.
It's speculation, speculatoba,
Yeah.
That's what you mean.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, I agree with you. What can I tell you, Can't argue with the truth.
Yeah.
So Hashem should help us, that people should wake up and start realizing, Kihem chayenu ve'orach yamenu. This is our life. Torah and mitzvot and tefillot and tzedakah, what we do in our communities, this is our life. We can't live without that. It's like a fish out of water, Hashem should wake up our people, and we should come back, to serving
Amen.
Hashem.
Amen.
Amen. That's the idea.
Amen.
All the best. Got all the blessings.
Amen.
Stay healthy. Stay happy.